First of all, the question is, why can an acquisition be an interesting growth strategy for SMEs? I will only talk about acquisitions because we usually talk about mergers and acquisitions, but in the end, always one company prevails. So in this research and forward, we will only talk about acquisitions. Even if there is a merger of equals, in the end, one company prevails. So also in the results that I'm going to present, we only speak about acquisitions, but we look at two possible options. Stock acquisitions when buying a part of the company or 100% shares of the company, or acquisition of certain assets of the company we're looking to buy. So acquisitions can be a very interesting strategy for SMEs because when acquiring another company, you can have new strategic direction to that company. You can boost organic growth with the acquisition growth, because some of the previous research showed that if you did an acquisition, after the acquisition you would have a higher organic growth that continues. And also acquisitions are very powerful vehicle, I would say, to boost innovation in different aspects of business. So these are kind of reasons why an acquisition can be a really interesting strategy for SMEs. So why to do a PhD on acquisition? First of all, there is a really limited number of research on SME acquisitions. And I think part of you here are academics, part of you are practitioners, but you may know that when we talk about acquisitions, mainly we speak about acquisitions of large companies. So there is a limited number of research, but what is also important, there is a limited number of research that has implication for practice. And that's what we like to do when we do research. Also, when talking about SMEs, sometimes their growth is only viewed as an organic growth without any implications that other possibilities of growth could have on them. Also, most of the things we know about acquisitions and acquisitive growth, we have from theories that are developed on large companies, not so much on SMEs. And fourth, there is really no research that shows a specific context. And I think we can all agree that there are some specifics when talking about business transfers and acquisitions. There are some specifics to each of the country. And I will highlight today what are some of those of Croatia for a country that really has a developing market at this moment. So I would like to ask you a question, since I've been saying there is a limited number of research. Also, if you look at the statistic data, there is really no statistics on the number of acquisitions done by small and medium companies. I do have one data that maybe highlights the number of acquisitions. So I would like to ask you, maybe you can anticipate what is the percentage of acquisitions deals done in Europe by SMEs. So I would ask you to take your mobile phones and to go to wooclap.com and use this code. So, okay, I will display the question now. So I'm looking forward to seeing your answers. Maybe some of you already know the answer. Maybe you can anticipate the percentage of deals done by SMEs, but it will be interesting to see the numbers. Okay, I have two answers up to now.
Petra?
Yes.
So this percentage is correlated to what? To all acquisitions on the market? How much is
just
SMEs?
just SMEs, just amount of SMEs acquisitions.
But related to all acquisitions?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Wow, we have some really optimistic people here. So we have 90%, 85, 25, 65, 90. So I'm going to wait for a minute more to see your answers, and then I'm going to tell you what the statistics says. Okay, I can maybe continue, but you can then maybe answer some more just to not waste any more of our time. Okay, so basically what we know, this is the one data that we have from statistics. So OECD says that from total number of deals, 20% account for SME deals. So this is from the period from 2006 to 2007. And those are informations for Europe and US. So this is the only actually statistics we have. But some of you that really were optimistic about the number of acquisitions may be right, because this here may be only the part of acquisitions done by SMEs, because we know that those deals done by small and medium company, also by micro companies, are really hard to capture in the statistics. So, but even though this number actually shows that there is a significant number of SMEs doing acquisitions. So there is a really need to understand them more, to understand what their challenges, problems are. And these were actually the main drivers for this research. So when researching acquisitive growth, so I had 4 important drivers pushing me to do this research. First, teaching family business and business transfer really showed that there is a need for this kind of research. Other thing, we did the researching part of my job really showed me the need for this type of research. First of all, through researching exit from the business, I did a research with senior entrepreneurs exiting the business, and really this research highlighted some of the problems those entrepreneurs have when exiting the companies. I was able to see some parts of the ecosystem that showed need for improvement. But also one additional research done in Croatia. So Mirela and Sepor did the research on business transfer barometer in Croatia in 2015, where we actually saw that in Croatia, most of the companies were founded in 1990s. So when looking at the number of family businesses, this percentage was rather low. We only at this point have 30% of family companies that are probably now we're entering this first wave of transitions that should be carried out in the near future. So this really called a big red flag that those entrepreneurs are going to need assistance with doing business transfers. And those are not only some of those companies are going to be transferred to family members, but other companies are probably going to be there out in the market for sale. So those are good companies that potentially going to be acquired by another SMEs. Also, through the BTAR project, there are also our colleagues from Finland here that was a lead partner in this EU project. In this project, we did a situation analysis of 5 European countries where we looked at ecosystem for business transfer in each country. And the results we got for Croatia is that we were talking about a very undeveloped business transfer ecosystem in Croatia. So I'm going to, when I show you the components, I'm going to talk about this a bit more. And through the practical experience I gained through talking to entrepreneurs and to Transeo as a member and joining conferences and meetings, really showed me that there is a need to understand entrepreneurs more that want to grow using acquisition as a strategy. When we analyzed the business transfer ecosystem, I know a lot of you are probably familiar with business transfer ecosystem and its components, but maybe some of you are not. So I'm just going to briefly say a few words about the ecosystem. So, business transfer ecosystem is actually a setting in which transfers occur. So they can be a different kind of transfers. It could be a family succession, management buyout, employee buyout, and this in this case also acquisitions of businesses. So two most important players in this ecosystems are sellers and buyers wishing to sell or to buy a company. Then we have three very important part of institutions that can play the part in this ecosystem. So those are business support organizations, supporting businesses, raising awareness about the importance of business transfer or importance of growing through acquisitions for SMEs that undertake such a strategy. We have advisors. Obviously, a lot of you are now here, and we talk a lot about advisors and their role in acquisition processes. In Croatia, we noticed when doing the research in 2015 that there isn't a lot of advisors specialized for SMEs. So that can be a challenge for entrepreneurs. Third, the financial institutions also play important role in transfer of business and in acquisition processes, because they are the ones that have specialized or can have specialized credit lines or can back up companies to have enough financial resources to acquire a company. And then each country has its specifics in terms of market and economic conditions and tax and capital regulations. So I'm going to talk about this a bit more when I speak about results from Croatia. So before I start with results from Croatia, just to say why are these SMEs acquisitions different from one when we're viewing large companies? I think there are two main reasons. Entrepreneurs' motivation and acquisition process. First of all, entrepreneurs, when we look at SMEs compared to large companies, are run by one person and also has a role of owner and manager. So we don't see this at large companies where we have management level. So when we talk about motivations for acquisition in general, most of them are fused by different kind of possible synergy gains. So when we talk about large companies and when we talk about small companies, most of them will be motivated by gaining different kind of synergies. Those could be synergies gained from market power or from efficiency, but they will mostly be motivated by synergies. When we talk about large companies, here at this table, you can see some of the possible motivations for entrepreneur for actually undertaking the acquisition. So this also applies for large companies, but some of those theories are really not applicable for small companies. For example, you will never see entrepreneur go into an acquisition because of empire building. You will see this at management level, managers in big companies doing this, but you will never see a small and medium business owner. So most of the theories that can apply for small businesses are one that are motivated by gaining synergies. But also, even a small and medium-sized owners doing an acquisition can can gain some losses, but not because of the empire building or because of such things, or putting the motives of themselves before the motives of the company. They can make mistakes, perhaps in valuation. So there can be some losses because of because of valuation mistakes, or overpaying for the business in terms of acquisitions, but never in terms of putting their own interest before the interest of the company. Other thing is where we see the differences between small and large companies is in acquisition process. So it's easier. What we see, it's easier to manage small deals, and the integration of small companies is much easier than one of large. When we speak about SME acquisitions, we have two business owners doing a deal, so there is a lower information asymmetry. So information going from one owner to another it's so much better. There is an information flow that is not interrupted by a number of participants. Also, even if entrepreneurs use advisors, the information flow is so much easier than in big acquisitions. And there is a lower trust asymmetry. So there is a much greater trust between SMEs doing acquisition than one done by a large companies. And what third that we can see in those acquisitions is that entrepreneurs play a crucial role in those small acquisitions, especially in this post-transfer process where the integration of the companies are done. So these are the main differences that we already know and can anticipate exists in big and small deals, but we still don't have a lot of evidence that can be linked to practice. So that's why I wanted to know, and what we researched in Croatia. So what are the motives of entrepreneurs going to undertaking the acquisitions? What is the differences in those motives compared maybe to large companies, what we know from the literature? And we wanted to know what are some country specifics. While also joining Transeo events, we can see how this market is organized in big countries. We can see how business transfer ecosystem works in the developed countries with developed ecosystem. But so we wanted to know what are some country specifics for Croatia. Also, what was of interest is seeing how this transaction process is managed by small business owners, and what are the main challenges. And in the end, to see what synergies they expected, and have they realized those synergies. So before I go into the results we have from Croatian market, so I would like you to go to WooClap one more time. And I would like you to type in 3 or 4 biggest challenges that you anticipate or expect that SMEs would have within doing these acquisition processes in Croatia. So what do you, as advisors, as a research, anticipate that business owners might have a problem with acquisitions? Okay. So I'm just going to wait 1 or 2 minutes for you to type in. So type 3, 4, 2, maybe main challenges you expect that entrepreneurs would have in Croatia. And then later we can comment on those together. Okay. Maybe just 1 or 2 more minutes for you to type in. So we have some really interesting thoughts here.
Petra, I assume you can share the keywords after?
Yeah, so are you able to see the word cloud now?
No,
So,
not now.
Oh, not now. Okay.
No, but it's you can just comment.
Okay.
If you like.
So I will comment most of all. We have financing, valuation. Then we have dealing with new workers, finding a suitable entrepreneur, negotiation process, price, that's also linked to valuation, expectations, post acquisition integration. So these are in line with what I'm going to talk about more. So I will leave this open so you can type in what comes to your mind, but just to share some insights from our research and from Croatia. So we call this lessons learned. So these are basically the research implications that also can be used for practitioners. So what we saw in Croatia in terms of motivation and effects of entrepreneurs. So what we expected, what is also what we see at when big companies enter acquisitions, that entrepreneurs were mostly motivated by possible synergy gains. So like tangible synergy gains in terms of market power, efficiency, and things like that. So they were expecting to gain some tangible synergies. We saw that they were able to, in the end, get those synergies, but they were able to get so much more. So they were able to get a lot of intangible synergies, maybe ones that we didn't expect in the beginning of the research. So this research, maybe just to say a few words, was done as a case study of 8 cases of acquisitions of small medium companies in Croatia. So during this research, we did a lot of interviews with the entrepreneurs that undertook an acquisition. So when we talked to entrepreneurs, what kept appearing in the interviews was they mentioned the positive impact the acquisition had on a company's reputation. So you can see the quote from one of the entrepreneur that said, "After the acquisition, we got a good business awareness from our clients. Our story got a very positive PR and helped us gain new clients." So this what kept appearing in several interviews with entrepreneurs. So they were saying, after we did this acquisition, the local newspapers printed out our story, and we got such a good reputation from it. We did this acquisition in the right way, so we didn't lay off employees. After the acquisition, we had new projects, we kept growing. So this positive PR after the acquisition really helped them gain new clients. So I say this is one of the favorite things that came up in the research. I think that really puts a good image on acquisitions that can be done by SMEs. Other thing is that and it probably wasn't expected from the owners doing the acquisition. So they were able to use this hidden potential of employees in acquired companies. So they didn't expect to get such a good employees and to unleash this potential that maybe previous owner didn't know how to unleash. So these intangible synergies, I think, were most interesting, and entrepreneurs didn't expect them. So they were looking for tangible synergies, but in the end, they got so much more. In terms of entrepreneurs' characteristics, so this is a big implication for advisors and can be interesting for advisors. Entrepreneurs really confidently entered the process of acquisition, and so did the process by themselves. So it was a one-man band entrepreneur doing an acquisition without the help of advisors, without any previous experience. And I would say this is a this would be a characteristic for Croatian market, but not only for Croatian market. I think this can be a characteristic of maybe some countries of Central and also Eastern Europe. That actually entrepreneurs really did it all by themselves. They did the evaluation process by themselves. They did a negotiation process by themselves. Or use some of the previous experiences. So in this other quote, you can see an entrepreneur that actually did an asset deal, just bought an inventory of the company and the shop. It was a case of in a specialized sports retail industry. So they used their previous experiences and they anticipated where the problems might be. So in that way, they mitigated the risks. But in the end, they did the whole process by themselves, which isn't advisable. And I guess at the end of the presentation, there are some advisors that could say something about this. Other thing is, since they did the process by themselves, they were still able to learn. So they gained some important acquisition knowledge. And what we could see, so this research has been done in 2019, 2020. So it's already, there's been 3 years since then. And we've been following those companies that did an acquisitions. Not formally, but through the different kind of events and talking to entrepreneurs informally. And we've been able to see that they really understood the mistakes they made in the first process. And some of them have done by now a second or third acquisition in the meantime, and they were able to learn from the previous mistakes to not repeat them. So this experience doing the acquisitions was really important for them. So we see those companies after doing the first acquisition, that was obviously hard work for them. They had maybe second or third. We've also seen 1 or 2 cases where they did a cross-border acquisition afterwards. So they really were able to gain some important acquisition knowledge, I would say. Some important findings that have implications for ecosystem. So as most of you anticipated, entrepreneurs would have problems in financing acquisitions. I would say they would have this problem even in some more developed ecosystem, but in Croatia, that was a really huge problem. But some of the entrepreneurs were really then creative in finding finances, how to finance this acquisition. For example, one of the entrepreneurs said that they had a deal with the bank where they went to the bank and asking for a loan to acquire another company. But the bank said, okay, you are a good client. We don't have this kind of specialized loans intended for acquisition of another company. But what we can do is we can give you a loan to finance a working capital. So company owner didn't have any other possible solutions to finance the acquisition, so they took a loan intended to finance working capital. Another problem was entrepreneurs that wanted to acquire another company, but not to merge it with an existing one, but to keep it as a separate entity, like to have a portfolio of the companies. Ask for a loan as individuals, not a loan for the company, and they were not able to get it from the bank. So this is a really important implication for an ecosystem, especially for entrepreneurs buying a company that they don't want to merge with the existing one, or for individuals that want to enter entrepreneurship through acquisition. So there are no possible loans for people as individuals to buy a company. All of this actually highlights the undevelopment of transfer ecosystem. And one more important thing is, in case of this developing market, we saw a great importance of trust and previous business relationship and connections between seller and buyer. So this was the way the companies did an acquisition. So they looked for targets. They look for targets between their immediate business partners. So the acquirers were business partners or clients of the business. And this is, I would say, characteristic of Croatia and developing ecosystem and developing market, because we don't have any business transfer platforms in Croatia. So there wasn't any other way that companies or buyers and sellers could meet. So this it has a very important implication for the ecosystem. So in the end, just to give a short summary of what I was talking about of challenges that entrepreneurs had in this acquisition processes, was mostly managing this transaction process in terms of also company valuation and financing the acquisition. And some of those things could really be, those risks could really be mitigated by using the advisor's support, which they didn't do in these processes, especially in helping them manage the transaction process and doing a valuation. So most of you, what I saw in a wool clap, really told that negotiation process, valuation, financing, dealing with the workers, which is all part of the process, would be a challenge for them. And in the end, there is the financing question, which was also a huge problem for entrepreneurs. And maybe just to say where are we now, then we can have some time for discussion. So what we see that's happening now in the market in Croatia, so we have this information from the research done in 2020. So in this few years, we saw some improvements in the ecosystem. Croatian Agency for Small and Medium Entrepreneurship, HAMAG, now has the guarantees that help companies acquire another company. Also, what we see on the market is there is a number of advisors appearing that are specially focused, and they're specialized for micro and small acquisitions. So we see a few advisors now in the market specialized for this kind of deals, which can be very helpful for entrepreneurs. Also, there in Croatia now we have Center, which is actually we can thank Mirela and Cepor for this. It is actually, I would say, senior club of senior entrepreneurs. So those are all very senior entrepreneurs with a lot of experience that can help new and young entrepreneurs with their problems. counseling them with the different kind of business problems they have, but also they could help them with the problems in business transfer and also if they have problems in terms of growth or want to grow through acquisition. And other thing that we can see in the market now is we do have some business transfer platforms, but in making. So we see some business transfer initiatives of platforms being made. And I think this part is the most interesting that we see in the market now, is that we have some new players in the market. So we see private equity funds appearing in Croatia. So there are new huge players in the market right now. We have 3 private equity funds at the moment, and we see that they want to invest in certain industries. So what we see is those private equity funds are looking to buy companies in dental industry, medical practices and clinics, veterinary practices, and specialized retail. So they're looking to kind of consolidate the market in those industries. They're buying companies, even family companies that don't have a successor, or companies that entrepreneurs are close to retirement but do not have a family members to continue the business. So there is a number of deals done by private equity funds. So this is a kind of new insight from the market. Before we finish this presentation, I would invite you maybe to discuss these challenges that entrepreneurs have in Croatia. Or maybe just, Marie, do you think to finish and then to have a Q&A?
Thank you, Petra. I think it was really interesting. So actually, as you like, I think it's really interesting the Where Are We Now slide, because it's maybe inspiring also for other countries. Like I'm busy working with the team of Joe in Malta. And for example, the fact that financing, the Croatian entrepreneurs are using existing financing lines and schemes for business transfer and guarantees. So it's really interesting. And again, for example, in Malta, Karl Adams is also director here for the financing of acquisitions. And we could also exchange about this. It's really interesting, I think, as a new ecosystem to know that. And well, I think Mirela can take over now if you want to comment a bit, Mirela, as though you are part of Petra's team. You can, I think, write your questions in the chat, and we could exchange about the challenges you are facing in your own country, what you think about acquisitive growth. It's a new topic for many countries in Europe, especially for Eastern Europe countries. And I think this is why this is so innovative from Petra to explore this question, because it's kind of new in Croatia. And yeah, I think.
And just maybe to say we will have this case, one of the cases of acquisitive growth, so we'll discuss it in Malta. So this case will be a case of external growth in printing industry. So the 2 co-owners wanted to buy their business partner and competitor in the printing industry, whose owner was elderly, but was also terminally ill. So this was a very interesting acquisition deal with lots of unexpected twists during the process. So it will be interesting to discuss with you in Malta to see what would you advise to seller and to buyer. So do join us in Malta to discuss the case. And I would just like to wrap up with this quote from Croatian entrepreneur that actually called acquisitions in Croatia sleeping with one eye open. So this kind of highlights Croatian market and business transfer ecosystem in Croatia. So entrepreneurs are only left with possibility to sleep with one eye open, catch those opportunities for the acquisition due to some really inefficient part of this ecosystem we have in Croatia. So in the end, I will leave. So Marie, feel free to share my presentation with everybody. I will. I left my email address and my LinkedIn profile. So if somebody has any additional questions after, we can then discuss.
Okay. Thank you.
So can I stop sharing now so we can see each other better?
For sure, for sure. And I see there are already comments and questions, so I will leave it to Mirella, who kindly accepted to moderate a little bit the Q&A.
Thank you. I would just like to maybe emphasize once more what Petra already said, but that these acquisitions that she analyzed really had a positive impact on the image of entrepreneurs. And so those were, in our setting, those were those entrepreneurs who had more courage, I would say, more information. They were organized in organizational financial level, set up in a way that they can do that acquisitions. So it is really interesting how at the end satisfied they were. But it is not good that they were so confident in themselves and just thinking that they can find a solution, whatever they challenge identify along the way, and they will just resolve it. So I think that they tried to save money on. They think that experts, advisors are too expensive, and that really comes. That is the truth, because just a couple of years ago, there was none of the advisors for a micro and small business segment. And those who are skilled and know how to do acquisitions, they could choose in the market, and then they choose bigger companies, bigger deals, where then at the end their fee can be larger. And no one wants to deal with those small businesses where you have to invest a lot of time and effort, and at the end the price is lower. So all of that makes them entrepreneurs at the end going through this process usually by themselves. And at the end it comes up as good results for them, but we don't have a comparative case that or situation where they can see how much less how less pricey and less effort it would be for them if they engaged advisors. So on all those events in Croatia that we are currently organizing, or we always try to get entrepreneurs in contact with advisors, and I think that Daniel Pevec is with us today. He is one of Croatian advisors for M&A, and so we always try to show and get them into contact. So try to meet each other, exchange information, and hopefully work together for the benefit of those entrepreneurs and acquisitions. But also we would like our market to be more developed, and that everyone has his or her role in that market. So
Maria,
that would be just like.
I see a question. How about Croatian SME appetite for cross-border international acquisitions? I would say there isn't.
Yeah, it's interesting also, Petra, for the Transeo Deal Club. Just, I think it was interesting to mention private equity. And by the way, I think there's a question from Oscar. Are the EP firms you mentioned in the before last slide local or foreign based? So this question of cross-border, either in that sense or the other, is interesting for the community to know, I think.
So those private equity funds are Croatian based. So they're looking to consolidate the market, because there are a lot of small practices when talking about these four industries. There are small, very good practices. So what they're looking for is to consolidate the market, and then maybe to sell those company to some external investors, maybe from outside of Croatia, maybe ones from Croatia. So, but we see them now appearing. They're buying the companies now. They're consolidating the market. But it will be very interesting to see what happens in the future. Some of them are privately funded. I don't know if some of those are funded by investment bank. We do know a few that we have contact with that are funded with private money. So Mirella, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one that we know are funded by private money.
You mean no, Provectus? They
Yeah.
all got they all got money from European Investment Bank, but then added some private money.
Okay.
But they were in a very good position because they were set up just before pandemic, and they didn't do any investment before pandemic. So during pandemic, the prices went down, and they were in a position to buy cheap. So they had very good position, and they did 2 years of market research, and they chose very good, of course, industries. But this is the last one, veterinarian, what is
veterinary services.
Veterinary services, yes, that is very has very good perspective. So I would just like to answer on Hartmut's questions. So I think that one of the problems in Croatian SME market is that there are a lot of micro companies, and the market needs to consolidate, and they need to grow a little bit before they would be able to also go across the borders. So first step is a consolidation. So we had such one of Petra's cases was a case of this sport retail that they firstly bought 5 shops in Croatia. They are now Adidas, I think, representative for. But later on, they bought also shops in Slovenia. But once they learned and became bigger and more consolidated on Croatian market, then they were ready to go across borders. So that is like a couple of steps process what we see.
So this is connected actually, Marie, to your question. We can see that there is an appetite for cross-border acquisition, but I would say mostly by medium, not small ones. They have to be medium.
Another question we got from Karl is owner financing common in Croatia? I'm not sure you already answered. So Karl, if you want to comment your question, feel free.
I think it's very interesting. I think that Croatian entrepreneurs thought it is more equal like buying real estate. So they have probably experience in their life of buying another real estate, and they think our company is pretty much the same thing. And they prefer cash and carry options. So there will be a buyer who will get the money, and they will go. But it is not the case, especially since our legal system is not that efficient, and people see a lot of buyers see a lot of risk, and they would like to have control of that risk. So they try to postpone payment of a certain percentage of the price, and it is really logical. They just have to sellers need to learn that and become familiar with that option. But it is becoming normal to they're not offended anymore when somebody proposed that option. In the beginning they were offended and they were not satisfied with that.
Okay. But if I can just maybe ask as well, Mirella, the notion of financing then is starting to change. But does that mean that there's still reluctance if you buy a company in Croatia, that the owners stay around, for example, for a transition period? Are they also reluctant for that?
They stay for certain.
Yes,
They stay.
that come with earnout model. So they are now learned to that. I maybe just to add one more thing with how much these private equity funds have educated the market. So we are learning, but by anything that happens in the market, there are always those actors who are involved, but there are also a lot of people who observe what is going on, and I hope they also learn. But there is a case of one dentist who is second generation, and they have the dentist with 20 employees. They are quite big. And he got an email from one private equity fund and saying we are interested in taking over. And then he thought it is just a scam. He didn't know what kind of email is that. So he contacted his friend who is a financial advisor, and he said, "What is this? What do you think is this?" And then he said, "No, it is really happening. So this is a private investment bank. They saw you, they see your numbers, and they are interested in investing in you." And he said, "How do they see my numbers? What numbers?" So they started to look at his numbers together and analyze his business. And he then became very enthusiastic about that. He said, "I was dentist for 15 years, and now only I become entrepreneur. For last year, I realized that there is some income, there are some expenses, there is some profit that I can grow. There are options, I can innovate." So he didn't make a deal with that private investment fund, but private equity fund. He changed his attitude towards acquisitions, and now he said, "I would like to buy another dentist." So this is what I was just mentioning. So all that dynamic. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be a positive result in a sense of that acquisition happened, but just exposing yourself to those conversations, to those processes, is for entrepreneurs who are always, I think, smart people and intelligent people. They learn a lot, and it just changes their attitude, and it's very healthy that it is going on in the market for now.
Thanks, Mirela. I think we have a question from Thomas.
Or a comment.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Thanks, Petra, for sharing all the knowledge you have from Croatian market. I have one question regarding these private equity funds. Do you maybe have an information what is the criteria of these private equity funds that they would actually consider a company as a target in a sense of turnover, EBITDA, or number of employees?
Oh, I don't know the exact information. Miro, I don't think you do. Okay.
I can just say that it changes because firstly they look for a bigger company in industry. So they choose like medium-sized company. Firstly, they choose industry. Then when they chose an industry, they choose this medium-sized company. And then later on, also small and micro companies can come into question because they are consolidating the industry. So it actually changes, their criteria changes depending on the way, on the stage in the process in which they are. So they said that they had hundreds of conversations with the companies that they approached, and that they bought, I think, 16 SMEs. for now. And it is interesting that the companies or entrepreneurs that they were talking to in the beginning, and that they didn't want to cooperate, then a year after came back after they have seen what has happened and that they did a good job. It seems like they are doing a good job. They see that the company they have invested in made some progress, and so they just needed time to decide. And in the beginning, it was more taking over a company from the entrepreneur who is going to retire and doesn't have successors. But now it is more like even second generation of family businesses who are stagnating, and they don't know how to further improve. And they see that if this private equity fund invests a minority stake in them, that they will also bring some knowledge, know-how, and innovation that they are not able to develop by themselves. So at the end, they will all prosper. So I think it is really interesting process that we are now, and it's a learning process for everyone involved.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mirella. Carl, if you want to comment or
Yes,
ask a
thank
question.
you. So thank you very much, Petra, and thank you as well, Mirella, for all those information. It was a very interesting topic indeed. And so we know about more about the Croatian market. But I have one specific question regarding what you explained to us a few minutes ago. So you told us that private equity funds are mostly active in medical and clinics topics, but I suppose you are all involved also in a med tech or technology market as well, not only for the private equity funds, but you as a business transfer academic, you suppose you are interested in those kind of activities. So med tech and biotech certainly, which are the most interesting sectors in Wallonia for the moment, and more active as well. I suppose it's the same in Croatia, but that's my first question. And the second one, more generally, to understand if ESG criteria are already taken into account regarding business transfers process and regarding financing. Banks, public banks or public entities are certainly considering ESG criteria for the moment all across Europe and certainly in Belgium for the moment. Is it also the case in Croatia? What's the importance of those criteria for the moment regarding financing transfers market?
Shall I go for the start? So we've been seeing that those private equity funds buy in those four industries. So they're adding new industries all the time. But for now, we didn't see they're buying tech companies at this moment, but we suppose it's going to happen.
Okay.
So they've been mostly focused on, as I said, medical clinics, dental clinics, veterinary services, and specialized retail. For example, specialized retails of sports goods, sports equipment, but selling products of higher value. So, but I suppose in the future, they're also going to look at tech companies. It is going to happen. We see those business transfers within tech companies are more characteristic for startups that maybe develop some technology and then they're being sold to maybe venture capital funds. But these private equity funds for now in Croatia are just within these four industries. So then what next did you ask?
Regarding ESG criteria, yeah.
So I don't have information about this part. I don't know, Mirella, do you know, are they looking when financing?
Okay.
If they're using and most banks are now using this National Recovery and Resilience Fund, it is a precondition that those projects need to show that they do not significantly harm, or that they can get even more favorable. So this is a precondition, and they can get more favorable even financing options if they are contributing to green. So it has become very common topic in Croatia. So each month there is at least one event about that, and we really feel it become very, very important. Just to add to Petra's answer, unfortunately, we don't have that developed biotechnology companies in Croatia. Now I remember that in this IT sector, this cross-border transactions are really going on, and there are some huge undertakings and acquisitions, but we are not following them because it is really huge. Those are huge numbers and huge players, and they do not use Croatian advisors, but it is really a game of big numbers, I would say. Well, but the reason why we are so weak in this biotechnology and similar industries is that we have very low level of transfer between university and cooperation between universities and companies. So that is why at the end we don't know that we don't have that much innovation that are related to that field. So I think that is the reason why.
Yeah, and what we see now is that some of the very good IT companies in Croatia are being partly bought by foreign investors or having a strategic partner. So there is this case of one local very good IT company from Osijek that was recently had a strategic partner, as was partly bought by a German IT company. So we see cases like this one in terms of cross-border acquisitions, also like strategic partnerships from other European countries.
Okay, I understand. Very clear. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl, for your question and comment, and thank you, Mirela and Petra. Are there other questions, maybe a few last ones or comments? If you have some, you can write them in the chat or just raise your hand. In the meantime, I would like to invite my partner in the organization of the summit, Joe, because you are there. Please, could you say a few words about our summit in Malta, just like 1 minute, because maybe waiting for questions, if you agree.
So, yeah, of course. So we've been working all summer, me and Marie and her team and my team, to organize hopefully one of the best summits you're going to attend of Transeo, obviously in a very beautiful setting. So those who have not registered, I really encourage you to register. You're going to meet a lot of important counterparts in Malta. We're going to learn from each other. We're going to have opportunities to network. So please go ahead, register. We're looking forward to meeting you and welcoming you all here on our beautiful island.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you for all the work and involvement. That's much appreciated. And so it will be also discuss the ecosystems in Malta. We have a session on Friday about the developing ecosystem for business transfers in your country. So I think it would be really interesting to listen to you and your stakeholders. So looking forward to this. Yeah.
The idea, as you know, Marie, is for us to learn from each other, to see, you know, what good examples we can look at, and to see how we can develop, perhaps even for those attending, to replicate what others have been doing in their own countries, and perhaps in Malta we'll be able to have our own ecosystem, which we will be able to create over the coming years. So looking forward to these discussions and looking forward to seeing you all there soon.
Okay, thank you so much. I see you saying thank you, Petra. Very inspiring presentations. Let's keep up the good work in developing business transfer. So thank you. Maybe just a short reminder about the next step, the case study. Maybe if you want to wrap up with this, Petra, reminding that we'll have this meeting on Thursday afternoon, so the 12th of October, in-person Transeo Academy session.
So we will prepare the case for our Malta meeting. As I've already said, it will be the case of external growth with a lot of twists during the acquisition process. So it will be very interesting to see your point of view as advisors, as academics. So what would you advise for the seller and the buyer? So I'm really looking forward to meeting you in Malta and discussing on this case.